The Pulse of Spokane is a broad show that showcases many different things in our community, sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You. Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Kent Adams here. Good to have you. And we've got, I think, a really interesting guest today, and he's going to talk about getting us all in shape. I look down and I can't see my legs because of COVID-19. I'm going to blame that because we all ate way too much at home, right? And so we're going to have a good show with Adam Ludlow and talk about his business right after this message.
Today, Spokane's weather is going to be rainy with a high of 54, while this week will be mostly cloudy with some rain showers this weekend. Tonight will be rainy with a low of 47. Today, Coeur d'Alene's weather is going to be rainy with a high of 53 and a low of 49. Cheney is going to be mostly rainy with a high of 55 and a low of 47.
When we opened the doors the first day, we started with a counter full of maybe a dozen selections of a dozen cupcakes. We sold out and it just went crazy from there. I'm Sally. I run Sweet Frosting's Blissful Bake Shop downtown Spokane. It's almost 40 years of baking for me. We now do between 1,000 and 2,000 cupcakes a day. The variety of cupcakes is kind of like the variety of services that STCU provides for us. Since we opened this site in 2014, they've been our banker. We are producing for 4 stores right here, so we have 35 to 40 employees at any one time. There's an STCU close to virtually every one of my stores, and every time I get a new employee, that's the first place we send them. STCU is such a good fit. It's just so convenient for me to have them as neighbors. They are always so pleasant and always so helpful, and we have a lot of little needs. They've always been behind me 100%, so it's a good thing to have that partnership.
Here at River Ridge Hardware, we carry a great selection of Krylon brand spray paints, Color Master, general purpose, the Rust Protector for taking care of metal, Fusion for taking care of plastics, and the Super Max that can take care of it all.
What is Rewired Fitness? Well, Adam, what is Rewired Fitness?
Hey,
That's your business, isn't it?
It is. Appreciate you having me on, Ken.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, so Adam Ludlow, owner of Rewired Fitness Co. We are a north side personalized group fitness, strength and conditioning gym.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been in the industry 16 years.
Really?
So since I was 18.
You're not that old.
I'm not that old. I have a few more gray hairs in the last couple of years. But 34. I've been in since I was 18. Wow. I've owned Rewired for about 6.5 years.
Now, what did you do before? School, probably.
I did. I grew up in the Midwest.
Okay.
From a cattle ranching family. And went to Seattle Pacific for college.
Okay.
Exercise science and education is what I mostly focused on. Trained people throughout college and was mostly in kind of the youth development and strength and conditioning world. So I worked with a lot of high school teams.
Okay, sure.
That was kind of my primary niche. And then I realized that was great during college, but as I kind of got towards the end, the high school student athlete schedule is a tough one to keep up with.
Yes.
They tend to be fairly busy, and obviously they're doing seasonal work. So
Right.
as I got towards the end of college, got into boot camps, personal training, worked at the kind of what you call the Globo gym, the big box gym scene, and just started developing my own niche, my own brand, and was fairly successful doing that in Seattle. Built up a strong clientele, and then we decided to move to Spokane in 2011.
Now, why? Why move to Spokane?
It was actually completely unrelated to my career. We had some close friends that wanted to launch a church in Spokane, and we decided we wanted to be a part of that. So my wife and I had been married not very long, only a couple years. We had a great time in Seattle. We both went to college there. We met there. We enjoyed it. We survived the recession there.
Yes.
We just kind of knew Seattle wasn't going to be long-term for us.
Okay.
We didn't have kids yet. We didn't have a mortgage yet. We just kind of knew we wanted to plant roots.
So you are flexible enough to make the move.
Very much so. Spokane was not on my radar. So
Okay.
I had very little exposure to Spokane. Besides driving through I-90, I'd coached a small high school basketball team during college.
And you visited once.
I did. Our state tournament was at the Spokane Arena.
Yes.
And
B basketball.
Seattle Lutheran High School is the team I used to coach. We made it 3 years that I was coaching, and my impression of Spokane was basically the arena, at that point the Red Lion Hotel, and like Tomato Street. And that was really about all we saw, which aren't necessarily the greatest looks of Spokane. So we came and checked it out, visited here. I had some connections just through work in the gym industry here, and decided we're going to move to Spokane and help launch this church and restart our careers. And
good for you.
Wasn't really sure what we would think about Spokane.
Right.
And quickly, and we're like, we love this place.
Yeah.
Been here since 2011. My wife and I love it. We think this is home. This is long term. We want to be active members in the community.
Good.
Built a business here together, raising a family here. And I love that Spokane's, in my opinion, one giant small town.
Yes,
where there's like
it still
1
is.
degree of separation.
It still is. It's a city.
Very much so.
But
yes,
it's still a town.
Yep.
And you can look at some recent things and so forth going on. The town does come together.
Very much so.
And I love that about this town. I moved 43 and a half years ago from L.A.
A little different.
Okay, a little different, okay? And I'd never really heard of Spokane except for the World's Fair 2 years before we moved here and so forth. But this is home.
Very much so.
It really is home. And when people ask where you're from, I'm from Spokane. And if they dig far enough back, yes, from Southern California and LA and all that, but I don't miss that at all. And it's a great community. I ask you why Spokane and that sort of thing, because the church thing hasn't come up yet, but I get a lot of, well, my spouse grew up in Spokane.
Totally.
I get that a lot,
Yep.
when I go there with the question and so forth. So I can add now the church as a new answer. I think that's great.
Well,
I'm going to guess that you're probably still involved in that church.
Yeah. Now I'm more in a volunteer role, but still love it and support it.
Do you have to put up with that Isaiah guy every so often?
I do. We're still good friends, though. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and when we moved here, even in 2011, which really isn't that long ago, I feel like I've already seen Spokane change and grow quite a bit in the little bit of time we've spent here. But we kind of saw it as it's where a lot of people are from, and they grow up here, and they're kind of here through high school, maybe college, and then they go away to the big city for building their career, and then they come back when they want to start a family. Yeah, I looked at that as like, that's a great place for an entrepreneur to be. Yes. There's a lot of room for growth here. Yeah. We're one of the largest cities between a multitude of really big ones, but there's not a lot, within 300 to 500 miles. Right. So I saw it as a lot of potential, especially for, at that point, a young entrepreneur that wanted to make a stab at my career.
So you essentially built over here what you were doing
Yeah.
on the west side.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what you have now, is that what you built?
Yes.
Okay, so it's still the same business
Yep.
and all that.
Yep.
I've got to go back first, and we'll get to that. Why did you study what you studied and decided to do this? I mean, where did that come from? You said, I think, grew up on a cattle ranch?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not getting the connection. Did I miss something?
It's true. People are a little more fun to work with than cattle. They're a little more fun to have conversations with.
Okay.
But we have deep history in the cattle ranching industry as a family. I'm the fourth generation. It's my brother and I. He's taking it over with my dad. So it is going to stay in our family, which I'm excited about.
Good.
I didn't know if I would go into that or not. It's a successful family business.
Yeah.
It's something I'm proud of. It's something obviously we built on our backs.
Absolutely.
But I also knew I wanted to be with people.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the coaching, education, strength and conditioning world, I was always kind of attracted to those things.
Okay.
What really set it off for me was I originally in college thought I'd likely be a professor, maybe an entrepreneur, but somewhere in that I want to work with people.
Yeah.
I want to help solve problems. Strength and conditioning was always kind of a hobby of mine, but I broke my back when I was 19.
Oh, wow.
And that's really what led me down the track, essentially being able to use strength and conditioning and health and fitness to fix my own life and give me my own independence back.
I've actually heard that from a couple of people,
Yeah.
that people have done that and gotten into a particular career and so forth because of their own experience.
Totally.
And that's how some darn good successful businesses are starting to solve a problem. And it could be
Absolutely.
your own problem.
Absolutely.
Right? Or the next door or down the street or whatever. So tell me about I'm going to get it right now. Rewired Fitness. Where did the name come from?
When we launched a little over 6.5 years ago, so the name came not long before that. My family business has been called Rush Creek Ranch for generations, and I had always kind of wanted to at least keep some of the letters the same. That was a part of it.
Okay.
So I was like, I like R, and I think within that, I wanted to make sure that our name was something that I'd be proud of for the next decades.
Yes.
And to me, Rewired is really what we help people do.
Yes.
Being able to take, here's the traditional fitness model and here's what we've done to rewire it. Or here's the traditional average American, healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And here's what we're doing to rewire it. Here's the traditional mindset. Here's what we're doing to rewire it.
I kind of wondered if that wasn't,
That's lined up with our values, since day one.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever change. So it's a name that I'm very, very proud of and very married to at this point.
Yeah. So you have two wives. Tell me what's different. And I kind of know enough from Isaiah to know that what you do is different. You're not that same model that we see every other block around town where you get somebody, you charge them $20 a month, and they just kind of continue to have that automatically taken out of their checking account or debit card and so forth. And honestly, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of them count on that
Very much so.
as a revenue source and so forth. You do it a little differently. What do you do that's different and why?
So I think the biggest thing there is that the position we have with our coaches.
Okay.
Our coaches run the show.
Okay.
We're primarily group-led classes.
Okay.
Where we
so it's not come in and just do
Correct.
equipment or something like that.
Correct.
Which you might get tired of and move on.
Yep. So we saw an opportunity in the market, as a lot of other industries have as well, but the gym specifically, there's a lot of different styles of gyms.
Yes.
There's a lot of different models. A lot of them work super well. I saw the niche of, I see the value in having a coach.
Okay.
I see the value in strength and conditioning.
Okay.
And consistency.
Yes.
And between those, having hour-long coach-led classes that actually help people move better and feel better and live better.
Yes.
If we can figure out how to do that, I think we can do something that really works.
What do you do to keep getting people to come back?
Retention is I think the name of a game for our model. So ours is much different. We want a couple hundred people, and that's really it, with one main location. And we want them all to show up consistently.
Yeah.
So different than the model of we need thousands and thousands of people to pay but not
and
show
you
up.
hope 5% or 6%
Correct.
show
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Now, that model's worked for a long time. It's under a lot of stress right now.
Right.
Where I think we've been able to be fortunate, especially given what 2020 is shaping up to be.
Yeah. We
We've
mark that one off our calendar.
we can go ahead and move on to 2021
Yeah,
at
no
any
kidding.
point. We have a lot of brand loyalty and a lot of customer loyalty. We've got a very highly invested brand and staff that really believes in what we do.
Well, if you've got the coaches and you're showing up for them as well, because they're going to give you a hard time if you don't show up as a client, right? Yeah, and I think that means a lot versus, okay, I'm showing up for the running machine, who doesn't give a darn about you, right?
Right.
I mean, and that's important, and I think, as we look at anything, having somebody there coaching you and along for the trip, even in a group setting, you're going to get that loyalty and that retention.
Absolutely.
And that, I think, is a wonderful model to do. What did you do the last couple of months to accommodate all that's gone on, because it has had to affect you?
Sure, yeah, and it has.
Yeah.
Across almost every industry, the
Absolutely.
gym industry has not been,
we were
protected.
doing everything remote for
Exactly.
2.5 months. Okay.
Yep. So when this hit, for Washington or Spokane, it was really March 16th was the announcement. We had to close our doors. We pivoted quickly, and we decided we're going to take care of our business, our staff, and our members.
Yes.
And we got to figure out how to do all three of those very quickly.
Yeah.
So our action plan was we loaned all of our equipment out to our members.
Wow.
Which, I mean, was honestly, on one hand, it's a bit, it's a bit risky.
Yeah.
But it's also like I'd way rather have it in your hands.
But you see them as family, don't you?
Totally, you got to take care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think people were under stress.
Yes.
People didn't like that this was getting announced. They knew that, oh my gosh, businesses are closing and schools closing, and how long is this going to last?
Right.
And there's a bit of fear and a bit of panic. And I look at our role in our business of one of our goals is to provide people's best hour of their day.
Yes.
I'm like, we got to help them have that if they're going to be stuck at home.
Okay.
So if you can take equipment with you, let's start there. And we pivoted and basically became an online fitness company for the moment. We made pre-recorded daily videos.
Oh, wow.
That
That's
our
wonderful.
members could have access to, which was a really big win. There's a lot of different ways to deliver that. Zoom is one option. There's some issues with that, though, of you're fixed to a certain time.
Yeah.
There's interruptions that can happen. There's noise that can happen. So we decided we're going to do pre-recorded videos. That way members can do it at any time of the day they need to.
On their time.
They can stop it. They can start it. They can ask questions before they go in. And then we just made sure we did everything we could to keep members as engaged as possible.
Yeah.
Hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what our plan is. Here's how we're taking care of the staff. Here's what our plan is as a business. Here's what you can expect as a member. Here's where your money's going. I think at that point, it was really apparent for me, our members didn't need our staff to go be the motivating coach on the floor anymore.
Yeah.
They needed us to just give clarity.
Yes.
And tell them the truth.
Yes.
And know that here's what we're going to do to help take care of you.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the greatest news in the world, it was clear.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we recognize we have a lot of brand loyalty right now from our people.
Oh, I'll bet.
In my mind, I look at it as the sweat equity we would have put in with our members leading up to that point paid off big time. But also during that of we're going to do whatever we can. And it might not be, there might be a lot of restrictions, but outside of that, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure you guys are taken care of and that we keep coaching you.
So are you back now to doing things in your facility?
Yep.
Are most of your members coming back? Mm-hmm. Did all the equipment come back?
99.99% is back. Yeah. I think I'm waiting on one kettlebell at this point. So yeah, most of it came back.
That's wonderful, really, when you think about it.
And it was interesting because I think people were, they get attached to it. That was their happy hour of the day, was the equipment they had. So
I love it.
Equipment came back. We are open.
Yes.
Gyms were not initially part of phase 2.
Right.
And they got moved into that, which was, I think, good news.
Yes.
We've been open. We obviously have a lot of restrictions, but at least we
Yeah.
get to have our doors open and serve our people from our actual brick and mortar location.
Yep.
So that's been a blessing.
What kind of response from your members?
So we did a survey initially before we knew we were going to get to be open, and we
Yeah.
knew that phase 2 was coming at some point.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure people felt safe to come back,
Yes.
that they knew that we had safety protocols in place,
Right.
that here's what the guidelines are going to look like, here's how we're going to have to pivot because we're going to have to do really small classes and we're going to have to shorten times, and
Yeah.
our staff's going to have to work all day long to get
But
enough classes
honestly,
out there.
our community is aware of the fact that things are going to be a little different.
Totally.
At
Yep.
least for an immediate future, if not for the long term,
Yep.
and that may be a whole different set of,
Yep.
of protocols and so forth. But so I think everyone is accepting,
Yeah.
and so good to be back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That they'll accept whatever reasonable protocols
Yep.
and so forth, and so that's great.
Yep.
That is neat.
Yeah, and people have been, it's been, for a lot of people, the gym is really an hour of it's good for their mental health.
Yes.
It's good for their physical health.
Yes.
They're also in a spot where the last 3 months for many people has been extremely stressful.
Yes, yes.
Extremely taxing.
Yes, we know that.
For
We don't often talk about the impact on people from mental illness
Very much
to
so.
depression to suicides.
Yep.
That's all coming, and
Yeah.
some of it's already here.
Very much
okay?
so.
And not to mention the weight gain and
Sure.
everything else that goes with it. But I have a fellow I'm seeing, I think it's tomorrow or Thursday, who's coming in. I was talking to on the phone, and he said, I tell you what, I would love to have this conversation with you, Kent, but let's keep it short because I want to come in and sit across the table from you and have a cup of coffee. I miss talking to people directly.
Yeah.
And so I think they're willing to put up with whatever
Yep.
masks or sanitizers and everything else to be able to get back to. That was the one thing I missed, is having people across the table to talk to. You can do it on Zoom, and we have a program that we did a program earlier today remotely. They were on one of our programs and so forth, and we can do all that, and we did that for 2.5 months. But it's so nice to see people again
Absolutely.
in person.
Yeah.
Like you, I know with working with the church and what
Yeah.
you do in your business, we're people
Yes.
persons.
Yep.
I mean, we want to connect with people, and
Yep.
that's part of our, our DNA, and to miss that. So, do you have room for new people?
We're doing it very slowly.
I thought maybe so.
So right now with our restrictions, our primary response was take care of our members that have
Absolutely.
already been with us.
Absolutely.
That was a no-brainer. We're at a spot now where we're just doing a pretty extensive screening process
Yeah.
for new prospects that,
Yeah.
Making sure they're going to pick a class time that's not already full, and we get to
Right.
know them, and
Right.
making sure they know, here are the phase 2 guidelines, and
But probably in the next couple of months, things will start to loosen
will.
up a little bit more.
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, good. How can people get in touch with you?
You can follow us on social media, Rewired Fitness Co., both Facebook and Instagram, as well as we've got the Rewired Life podcast.
Okay, great. Are you having fun?
I'm having a blast.
You
I think my heart breaks for everyone that's been negatively impacted.
Yes.
As we have too, with COVID, with everything that's already happened in 2020, I've decided I'm not going to say that, I know it's going to get better next week, because anyone that's thought that during 2020 has been wrong. It just keeps snowballing that
kidding.
direction.
There seems to be something new next week,
Yeah.
right?
So I've also, I think entrepreneurs also know that we're problem solvers.
Yeah.
And that's
We have to, don't
that's
we?
what we got to do right now.
Yeah. Welcome to
Yep.
today's reality.
Yes, it's very
which
true.
is different from yesterday. And watch out tomorrow, because we
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
We think we know about tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I went through this whole thing because when the governor said it was time to close everything up, I'm going, but my next haircut, which I'm really late for, is on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was. So I went for 2.5 months with
Yeah.
no haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, glad to be back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just little simple things like that. And worst thing for my wife and I is our grandchildren, that we really haven't been able to hug them and things like that we normally are able to do. But that's coming back.
Yep, that's coming.
They're getting closer and all that, and thank goodness for that. So. Thank you for what you're doing. Okay,
Yeah, appreciate
I think
it.
it's great. Hey, thanks for watching the Pulse of Spokane. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.